what do we mean by write what you don't know? It's actually the title of the book of the Imaginative Storm method. Well, there are two ways in which you can write what you don't know. And when we're talking about knowing, we're talking about that rational mind that likes to know stuff, that thinks it knows what's going on, that has agendas and judgments and ambitions and anxieties too. And those agendas and judgments and ambitions and anxieties will get in your way. You worry, is this going to be good enough? Can I write? Can I write well enough? Is this making sense? And when you do that, your writing seizes up. Your imagination doesn't want to come out to play if it's being judged. So when we say write what you don't know, we mean let your imagination take the lead. Ask that rational, judging, knowing part of your mind to sit in the passenger seat. You can always make stuff good later. You can always add structure later and grammar and sense and cut out the repetition and cut out all the boring bits. But if you just let your imagination go, that's where the surprises come from. That's where the original, fresh, authentic material comes from. So that's one way in which we mean write what you don't know. The other is when you're telling a story. That story has human characters, and those human characters are living life, or maybe they're animal characters, but they're kind of like humans, like Animal Farm or Watership Down or whatever. So the texture of living life is made up far more of not knowing than it is made of knowing. There's a very limited amount of stuff that any of us know at any given moment. We like to think we know a lot and we're in control, but we really don't. We don't know what's going on in other people's heads. We don't know what's going on in our own heads. We don't know what's happening in the next room or down the street. We don't know what's going to happen 5 or 10 minutes from now, and we don't know what any of these events that we're living now, or these people who we're living them with, we don't know what that's going to mean to us in the future. We don't know how things are going to turn out. But if you're writing a memoir and you're writing about things that have happened to you in your life, you know how they're going to turn out. And if you're writing fiction, a novel or a story, you have an idea of the plot and the characters. You know what they want. You know how they're going to interact. You know what the plot is. You know how it's going to turn out. So if you write those scenes and write those characters with that knowledge from hindsight, have you noticed? It's all kind of flat and inauthentic and stiff and lifeless on the page. And the reason is because we tend to write from this place of knowing how it's going to turn out, whether it's fiction or nonfiction, because we've worked it out. We've either lived it or we've figured it out in our heads if it's fiction. So when you're writing a scene, a character, you have to get back into what, when we're talking about memoir, we call the present of your past. In other words, the feeling of living life in the moment forward, not knowing what's going to happen. And you have to do the same thing if you're writing fiction. Get into the present of your characters, not the schematic knowing of their author. So that's what we mean by write what you don't know.